Happy East-quinox, y'all. Clearly, we were just watching some video from Washington, D.C., where I've been for the last, I don't know, I was there for 5 nights and recording a lot of video and taking photos for coming revelations of D.C. star mysteries. Washington, D.C. has been one of my most important astronomy teachers, not because there are clear skies, but because many of these temples, like the U.S. Capitol, were built with alignments to the stars, and because there are zodiacs all throughout DC in some very interesting and mysterious spaces. We're going to visit a few of them today in this weekly live stream. And I guess let me just say before we move forward that I am Gemini Brett. Hi, happy East-quinox to you. Why do I call it East-quinox? We're going to find out. And some of this, as I said before, I actually learned from magical zodiac floors in Washington, D.C. as I toured those mysteries some years ago when my sister once resided there for some years. I am live every week at 11:11 p.m. No, 11:11 a.m. Pacific time here, wherever you're watching me. If you're watching me at Instagram, by the way, I encourage you to shift over to the YouTube page because you'll be able to see there's many videos we're going to watch together and some illustrations, like full screen. So if you'd like to link your way there, you can go to the bio on Instagram or just type in geminibrett.com/links, LINKS. Thanks to Carolyn Link for helping me set that up. That will link you to many of my places, my website where you can book a reading with me if you'd like. I'm actually running a discount now until the total solar eclipse on April 8th. So 18% off of anything that I do. 18, of course, a very important eclipse number. I think we will visit not the 18, but the 19 a couple of times in our DC tour today. 19 also very important in sun, moon, earth phenomena, including eclipses. What else to say before we dive in? Anyway, if you're over at the YouTube page, I hope you'll subscribe. Please give the video a like anywhere where you're watching. It really helps with the algorithm, you know what I'm saying? Helps me get my work around. I will also take you today to my backyard where I recorded a video for Sky School, which is opening soon, perhaps in a theater called You. So I'll speak more about that in a membership group that I'm launching soon. One more thing, at geminibrett.com/links, you will also link to my events page. If you're in California, specifically near the Bay Area or Sacramento, I will be doing an in-person event with the National Council of Geocosmic Research Sacramento chapter. So in Sacramento, in another capital city, on this Sunday. So it'll be a 3-hour eclipse workshop, followed by a potluck dinner, and then a night sky training. So geminibrett.com, go to the events tab, or geminibrett.com/links, and you can go right there. All right. Yeah, there's some words coming in the chat that I really just don't get. But the one that I did was congratulations to you and your beloved on your new little life coming your way. Thank you very much. It's going to be a very important year for me. Baby girl coming in June. And so we'll speak today about some reasons why astronomically this is a good time of the year for beginnings. Now, on one level, I kind of appreciate the very northern experience of beginning the year at winter solstice time. But of course, at the solstices, the tale of two hemispheres, that is the Earth, are kind of most differentiated. Of course, winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, solstice globally is summer solstice in the southern hemisphere, right? So that extreme opposition. And while, of course, today's spring equinox or vernal equinox for we northern hemisphere folks is autumnal equinox or fall equinox for the southern hemisphere friends. There is something very important here, which is that when the sun is on the equator, as it is twice a year when it's at the equinox points, right? The very real astronomy of tropical astrology helps us understand this, and the directions are very key to this, which is a bit of what I'll speak about today. I showed some illustration in my No on Prop 13 video last week. If you missed that, you can see it on my YouTube page. Again, I'm going live every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. And YouTube is the place to see the backlog of those videos if you'd like. All right. So somebody said, hey, nice shirt. Thanks. Right. So the flowers, because here in the Northern Hemisphere, the bloom has begun. I'm looking at flowers on our apple tree right now. But also I like the black background because, you know, one reason many teach that this is the time of the beginning of the year is that it is the resurrection, right? You can feel Easter in that, right? But I'm going to show you today, if we have time, why I believe Easter is the right name for this event of East-quinox and why I call this East-quinox versus the West-quinox, which happens when the sun ingresses Libra, not constellational Libra, not sidereal Libra, tropical Libra, Earth astrology, Earth astronomy, the West point. But now the sun is at the East point, and I hope to have some time to show you that why that is. At least I will show you several places on Earth, at least in Washington, D.C., where it is encoded in directionally aligned and therefore tropical zodiacs, because like so many sacred systems of ancient wisdom traditions, the tropical zodiac is directionally aligned. In fact, I will suggest it is directionally defined. All right. So, you know, many will say that this is the time of the beginning of the year because the resurrection, light overcomes night. We're coming out of the winter, or even we could say the fall and winter, where nights are longer than day, right? But that's, of course, exactly opposite for Southern Hemisphere friends. Yes? So hence the black on the shirt, because for y'all, of course, this is going into the fall. The sun starts falling at midday, beginning at summer solstice, really, right? That's the height of the light, and every day thereafter, the sun is lower in your sky. But it's really falling in earnest once you get to autumnal equinox. And of course, it is autumnal equinox now in Australia and Peru and South Africa and all the other Southern Hemisphere places. Yes. So I appreciate the flowers for we who are celebrating a spring equinox, but the darkness for those of you who are falling into longer nights and days. And because I like to act locally, but think globally or be globally, I'm not going to suggest that we should begin the astrological, really the astronomical year at this time because the light is overcoming the darkness. That's only true for half of the Earth. But there is a global key, and it's a directional key that helps us understand why Sun's Aries ingress. No, I'm not talking about constellational ram or some sidereal zodiac aligned to some star. I'm talking about Earth's zodiac, the ram, the horns of the ram, because this is how the Eastern stars rise every night, the eternal fountain of youth. This is one of the many, many, many keys to the glyphs that we use to depict the signs of time, the directional zodiac. All right, well, we better get into some videos before my hour is up. I'm so glad you're here with me. Please like the video so it can get around, share it with birds of a feather, and in the comments, if you would, I'd love to know where you're coming in from. Like I'm seeing Julie's here from the Southern Hemisphere, specifically, I know from New Zealand. Great. So hopefully you feel honored in at least the black background of the shirt. And happy fall equinox to you, Julie, and to other friends who are here who live south of the equator. All right, let's see. We're going to take a tour of the National Academy of Sciences in DC. I'm going to actually start in the middle and I'm going to read from a beautiful mural that is in the north of that room. Now, the north in the northern hemisphere is where we find the IC, the Imam Cheli, the bottom of the heavens. It is the midnight sun beneath the ground, not directly beneath our feet. That's the nadir. That's a different direction. The IC beneath, but in front of us. Okay. So in the northern hemisphere, the sun norths at midnight, not clock midnight that you adjust with your daylight losings crime. I'm talking about midnight, halfway between sunset and sunrise, when we move into the cold and wet that you can feel in the stones, which of course are your bones. All right, so let me read to you this image from the north, which I think is kind of appropriate. I guess before I do, I'll say one more thing. You know, it's strange that most of us, at least in our kind of clock consciousness of our day and age, that I don't remember signing up for this, but we begin our days in the middle of the night. And not even in the true middle of the night, but rather 12 a.m. on some clock, right? And where you are in your time zone and all that, you know, comes into it. But, you know, it's like, why is this? It kind of feels to me like the day begins at sunrise. You know, many traditions, and this was held like still for many, but like even in like the West until, I don't know, the 16th century, like would begin days at sunset. Why would that be? Well, let's talk about it another time when we go to the moon together, or at least watch the moon reflect sunlight to our earthly eyes as Diana delivers Apollo's birth. But, you know, there is something kind of beautiful about beginning days in the middle of the night, as much as it feels like it makes no sense at all. That is where the sun begins his daily climb, right? We have evidence of this when the sun comes from those roots down beneath the ground, the midnight sun, to the rise in the east, and then to the reach, which in the northern hemisphere is the south, and then to the rest in the west to return to the roots. Okay, for the southern hemisphere folks, rooting in the south, rising in the east, reaching in the north, resting in the west. But we're going to spend our time here in DC, and so northern hemisphere, right? The north is the roots, midnight sun, the IC, the bottom of the heavens. East, of course, the rise, as it is everywhere on earth. South, the midday sun, the sun at the MC, true solar noon, the height of the light, the shortest shadow of the day, the reach, and then resting in the west before we return to the roots, the tomb, which is the womb from which we will rise again. All right, so it's important that this mural I read to you from Aeschylus, from his incredible tragedy, Prometheus Bound. It's important for you to know that this is on the northern side of the National Academy of Sciences building in DC. If you're ever in DC, go to this place. It's only open, by the way, weekdays. Very few people visit it on their mysteries tour because most people aren't in DC for a mysteries tour. So basically when I'm there videoing all this stuff, there's just people clicking around in their high heels, like people that work there. TMI, I don't know, best bathroom in DC if you're out exploring the sites, just so you know. They used to have a really wonderful cafeteria down below, but you can't visit anymore since all the lockdown shenanigans. I was really sad to see how I've lost access to a lot of the mystery buildings in DC since the last time I visited to explore these things. Well, I'm happy to present at least a little bit of it to you right now. So let's get to the tape. All right, buttons, you, and you, and you, and where's, okay, here we go. So I'm just going to start by reading what you see here on the screen. Again, this is the northern side of the main hall of the National Academy of Sciences in Washington, D.C. And this is from Aeschylus, from Prometheus Bound. You can see, of course, in the image here, Prometheus, with the assistance of Athena and her owl, stealing the fire from Apollo, who's riding the chariot, right? All right, so let's read this. Hearken to the miseries that beset mankind. They were witless. Erst I made them to have sense and be endowed with reason. Though they had eyes to see, they saw in vain. They had ears, but heard not, but like to shapes in dreams. Throughout their lengths of days, without purpose, they wrought all things in confusion. They had no sign either of winter or of flowery spring or of fruitful summer, wherein they could depend. But in everything they wrought without judgment, until such time as I taught them to discern the risings of the stars and their settings. Aye, and numbers too, chiefest of sciences, I invented for them in the combining of letters, creative mother of the muses' arts, wherewith to hold all things in memory. 'Twas I and no one else that contrived the mariner's flaxen winged car to roam the sea. If ever man fell ill, there was no defense, but for lack of medicine they wasted away until I showed them how to mix soothing remedies wherewith they now ward off all their disorders. Hear the sum of the whole matter. Every art possessed by man comes from Prometheus. All right, well, let me stop this share and we'll just rap about that for a little bit. Many of you may have been informed through the movie Moana recently, where Maui takes credit for everything in his great song, Thank You. I'm kind of feeling this here. You know, Maui in those Polynesian traditions is the one who stole fire to give us that creative force. Yes, like it's a very important thing to understand about the fire element, the fire essence. It's bringing the fire spirit here through our will, right? So that we as creators will create. Yes, I mean, the important thing to know about the Prometheus mysteries is Prometheus created humankind. Not our current vision, by the way, that was done by his son and the sister of his brother, who were the two that survived Zeus's flood, right? They threw the bones of their ancestors over their shoulders, and those bones became, the stones, which became our bones. Tale for another time, I think. Anyway, Prometheus was charged to recreate human after the previous destruction took us out. Again, thanks to one of Zeus's lightning bolts in that case. And Prometheus, who had shown a great love for humanity, was given this task to create the new version, us. And like so many of the traditions, this tradition in Greece says that we were molded of clay, which I would suggest means we are ever moldable, and that we were formed in the image of the guides and the guidesses, which I would say means that we are creators ourselves. And a very important truth here is stealing that fire. Yes. And so we see it in our electricity, in our technologies. And of course, that can run away from us. Like, it's important for us not to fall prey to hubris, which is said to be one of Prometheus's illnesses, by the way. And maybe you can hear that a little bit in this statement. But, you know, did Prometheus tell us what we just read, or was this Aeschylus, right, in Prometheus Bound? All right. I'm wondering if I should actually just mute this video that I'm going to show you. I think it's 16 minutes long because, again, like this place, the National Academy of Sciences in Washington, D.C., like a lot of people work there and very few people go there to visit and trip into these mysteries. The guard told me there's kind of like one person a week who's taken a photograph of themselves with the Zodiac gates, which I'll show you to start. I think because I was whispering while I was there, instead I'll just mute the video and then I'll narrate from this safe place of my office now at home in California. So let's do that. Okay, buttons, you, and you. It takes a lot of buttons, and you. Okay, cool. Let me just mute this video and we will retrograde back to the beginning of this thing. Okay, so we are in the Great Hall of the National Academy of Sciences building. If somebody would please, if you're watching this live, just leave a comment that you can see the video on the screen. All right, so you can see that Prometheus mural back in the north side of the building. We're looking north, and now we are looking up. And how about this amazing ceiling? All right, we're going to spend some time looking at many of the symbols here. And by the way, in my presentations and courses in which I will reveal many of these DC mysteries down the road, I will show you very beautiful high-def photographs I took, zoomed into many of these things. By the way, thanks to those of you who are replying in the comment section that you can see. All right, what do you see here? And I'm actually just going to pause this for a second. Well, I probably am okay. Well, let's do that. Look at this beautiful image for Libra, right? And what a wonderful time to see this, because as we know, we are coming up on Sunday to a lunar eclipse at the south node in Libra, which will be followed by a solar eclipse at the north node in Aries. A solar eclipse so close to that north node, with the moon close enough to Earth for us to experience total solar eclipse. Yes. The lunar eclipse preceding this, a penumbral eclipse, which basically, by the way, just looks like a full moon. But again, I will be on that Sunday in Sacramento doing an in-person 3-hour eclipse workshop. Please come hang out. We'll do a potluck dinner after, and then a sky school, a night sky training. We're going to see Mercury. We're going to see all sorts of amazing things. So if you're in the Bay Area or Sacramento, come join me. GeminiBrett.com/links. We'll take you to all sorts of places like my events page. I will, by the way, leading into the Aries solar eclipse on April 8th, be offering a 2-day online deep dive chart intensive eclipse and eclipse cycles workshop. Just make sure you're on my mailing list so I can notify you about that and about the coming membership that I'm opening for Sky School. All right, we'll see a little bit of the work that's already been created for that, probably today, maybe next week. Okay, so I'm loving this Libra sculpture, right? In this zodiac gate. Because as you can see, the fulcrum is made of a ram with 2 serpents wound around his horns to create this caduceus above, right? So we're really seeing that beautiful expression of polarity, not only of Libra and the scales, but of the Aries Libra axis, yes? So, of course, if the north node is in Aries, as it is now, the south node is in Libra. We are talking about 2 sides of one pole. I have too much to say about that, so we better move along. All right. So in this gate is, I'm going to speak Northern Hemisphere, the fall signs, Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. We go to the other side of the room. I'm just pointing here to the spring and summer signs. Here we see Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. All right. Later on in the video, I think we'll take a walk to look at those gates out front, and I'll express then some reasons why I feel these ones aren't as beautifully directionally aligned as most zodiacs we see in DC, including the one that we will check out next. All right. This is a Foucault pendulum. Look into it. It's one of the ways that we know the Earth is spinning and the rate of the Earth's spin. I'm going to leave that there for now, but you can see this orb, which is like a sun hanging by a string. Now, this is a pedestal which is covered by many solar deities like Ra, Hercules, Balder, Tonatia. I mean, usually see that spelled and pronounced differently, and pardon me if I'm just doing a poor job at that. Shiva here, and Mithras, Shamash, yes, and then to Apollo, right? Or Helios, to use an older name. In Apollo, we see here having his fire stolen by Prometheus, right? With the assistance of Athena. It's Prometheus who midwifed the strange birth of Athena from Zeus's skull. All right, now looking down, we see signs. So Sagittarius, Capricorn axis. So let me just stop this for a second, because so importantly, like most actually, besides those zodiac gates we were just looking at, I will say all of the zodiacs in DC that I'm aware of, this zodiac beneath this solar god pedestal of the Foucault pendulum at the National Academy of Sciences is directionally aligned. This is so important. And I will show you, before we're done today, the first teacher of these directional zodiac mysteries for me in Washington, D.C., which is at the Library of Congress building. So this cusp that we were looking at right here, the Sagittarius Capricorn cusp, it is aligned in this room towards the door in which you enter the Great Hall, and that's due south. Okay. Well, in the Northern Hemisphere, the roots, the IC, the sun beneath the ground, or the moon rooting beneath the ground, or Sirius rooting beneath the ground, or Venus and Jupiter and Mars, or the sign of Aries or Gemini rooting beneath the ground. In the Northern Hemisphere, that is north, okay? And my posture for the north is like this, reaching my hands down into the ground to drink from the well of the ancient ones. From there, we will rise up into the east. We will reach at the south, the height of the light, midday sun, or the moon culminating, reaching its height before coming down, or Aldebaran's culmination, whatever, reaching, okay? And then we rest in the west. Yeah, so east, rise, rest, west with our horizon, yes? When I get out with the sky, I like to connect to the earth. I connect to the directions with this practice: root, rise, reach, rest, back to the roots, above, below, marrying the two in the heart, which is the seventh direction because it is the first. Yes? All right. And then, so connections, directions, reception, reflections. That is my practice to enter the temple of the night sky. So more about that in Sky School down the road. All right. So while in the Northern Hemisphere, this direction south is the reach, the height of the light, the MC, the cusp of the 10th, which is coming up, and the 9th, which is falling down. Globally, south is all about the South Pole. All right, north, all about the North Pole. This is the key to the directional zodiac, and also to why I call this East-quinox time. All right, so the tropical signs have nothing to do with the constellations. And I don't think I'm going to have time to show some of my sacred astronomy illustrations and animations today, though I did show some of the key directional components of the zodiac in my No on Prop 13 No Fucus video from my live stream last week. So go to YouTube and check it out if you weren't able to see it live. More importantly, study in Sky School with me sometime. I was introduced to planets by plants. And there were many times in deep meditations where I would bring a globe like this in with me and just say, show me the zodiac. So, of course, plants are really good teachers about the changing of light, yes, and the seasons and such. Now, the tropical signs are not constellational. It's a difficult thing to deal with. We can say they are seasonal, but that does not speak globally because, again, while this vernal equinox described by the sun's ingress for friends north of the equator, it is the autumnal equinox for friends south of the equator. And even just in one hemisphere, the seasonal experience in London is entirely different than it is here in California, which is entirely different than it is in Mexico City, right? So if you're relying on kind of a seasonal basis for the tropical zodiac, it really would have to be adjusted for where you are. Now, in your experience, it is, and that's an important thing to honor. But there is a global truth of the zodiac, and it's really this simple. All right? Look at the Sagittarius glyph. Here you go. All right? It's just Earth's rotational axis and rotational plane, which is the equator, tilted in respect to the plane of our annual orbit. So rotation, equator, revolution, ecliptic. Day, equator, year, ecliptic. The tropical zodiac is all about the interface of those two planes, the plane of day and the plane of year, equator and ecliptic. They intersect at the equinox points, both the east-quinox and the west-quinox points. The easiest way to see the truth of the tropical zodiac, the directional zodiac, is to contemplate the seasonal stations of the year, like equinox, but especially solstice. So let's say that this citrine is the sun, beaming rays at the planet Earth. What time of year is this? Well, this is the northern hemisphere, right? You're looking at Europe and Africa, North Africa. And so when is the northern axis of the Earth leaning towards the sun, therefore maximum sun rays on the northern hemisphere and minimum sun rays on the southern hemisphere, right? Easier seen on this night side. This is called Cancer solstice or northstice. Why? The North Pole is leaning towards the sun, as it does for one moment each year. We're now, by the way, here, right? This is Southstice, when Earth's South Pole leans towards the sun. And at the time, the sun ingresses tropical Capricorn from tropical Sagittarius, which like literally the glyph that we use is this. It's Earth's rotational axis and rotational plane tilted with respect to the orbital plane, the equator tilted with respect to the ecliptic, which, by the way, is the reason for the seasons. Yes? But it's all about the directions. The North Pole of Earth leans in every moment forever, regardless of which constellation it's pointing to in that direction. That changes over time with Earth's third motion called axial precession. The North Pole of Earth is leaning in every moment forever towards 0 degrees tropical Cancer. And therefore, when the sun, because of Earth's orbit, ingresses tropical Cancer, the sun's shining directly above Earth's Tropic of Cancer, right? When the sun, because of Earth's orbit, enters tropical Capricorn, the sun is shining directly above Earth's Tropic of Capricorn, which are the southern bounds of the sun's journey, the southern bounds of the heart of the zodiac, the southern bounds of the ecliptic. And at that time, solstice, right? The sun stops, which is what solstice means, turns around, which is what tropikos means from Greek, right? And starts moving north for 6 months. And now we are at this place when the sun rays are in between the southern bound, that's the Tropic of Capricorn, and the northern bound, that's the Tropic of Cancer, right? Here at East-quinox time, when the sun's rays are directly above the equator. And that's true as well at West-quinox time. All right, but why East-quinox? Because while East in any moment is different for folks in China than it is for folks in India, there is a global north and south defined not by a compass, not by the magnetic poles, but by the true earth poles, Santa's place, North Pole, South Pole, yes. And because there's a global north and south, there's a global east and west. And it's at this time of the year when the sun is at that global east point. Well, if you watch the sunrise or a moonrise or any star rise in the middle of the night, it's pretty easy to remember that east is the place of birthing, the place of new beginnings. And so with the sun here at the global east point, which is the cusp of tropical Pisces and Aries, okay, so the Aries point, it's the East-quinox point. This is why it's a good time to utilize the sun's Aries ingress now as the beginning of the astronomical and therefore the beginning of the astrological year. By the way, rationalist scientists, astronomers in our day and age who like ridicule astrology for many reasons, and especially ridicule tropical astrologers for utilizing a system whose signs are not aligned to the constellations they are traditionally associated with. There's a really fun retort, which if they know their astronomy at all, is to just ask, hey, where do you measure celestial longitude from? Hey, where do you measure right ascension from? And the answer, though they don't call it this, is the East-quinox point, is the 0 Aries point. All right. Anyway, so I have a lot I want to show you, so I better get back to the vids. The south pole of Earth leans in every moment forever and ever and ever towards the cusp of tropical Sagittarius and Capricorn. And it has nothing to do with like where we are with respect to the sun. Like that point is just always here above the Tropic of Capricorn because it's where the Earth's south pole leans. So when the moon moves from Sagittarius to Capricorn, it's south of the Earth, globally speaking. When Jupiter is there, as he was some years ago, there, Saturn, okay? Like it's the south point. And so in DC, in many, many places, including the Library of Congress, which we will go to, which was my very important teacher into the ways of the directional zodiac. And I have so much gratitude for the zodiac floor in that building that we will go to. In DC, places like this National Academy of Sciences that have zodiacs, they will be directionally aligned. And that's what you're looking at here. Okay, so this Sagittarius Capricorn cusp is aligned due south, not magnetic south, true south. All right, and we're going to go from there to an image of that globe so I can talk about these things. And we will move from there eastward. Okay, so Aquarius, and especially the center of Aquarius, the cross quarter point is southeast of the center of Earth. The Pisces Aries cusp is due east of the center of the Earth, and therefore works like a global ascendant. That's the astronomical root for the turning of the ages doctrine, like the dawning of the age of Aquarius. The Gemini Cancer cusp due north. It's where Earth's north pole is leaning in every moment forever. All right. Mid Leo is the northwest point. The Virgo Libra cusp is west-quinox. It's due west of the center of the Earth. And this is why Libra glyph, it's not just the scales, it's the setting sun, the true image of westing. And here we have the center of Scorpio, which is southwest of the center of the Earth. The Tropical Zodiac, friends, is a directional device. Okay, so here we have this solar pedestal, all of these different sun gods, this Foucault pendulum beneath this beautiful ceiling at the National Academy of Sciences with a zodiac, a tropical zodiac that is directionally aligned. Okay, so we see the sun in the center up here. I haven't counted those rays, but I intend to someday. And it is surrounded by 8 planets and 8 sciences. So there's the Mercury glyph, Venus. All right, now this is a very kind of modern astronomical heliocentric image. And so we get the third rock from the sun, as they call it, right? The Earth, that's the Earth glyph, the cross of matter inside the circle of spirit. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn. They don't stop there as we would traditionally. Here's Uranus, and here's Neptune. And I believe the ceiling was actually designed before the discovery of Pluto in 1930. I'm not positive, okay? Of course, after 2005, Pluto wouldn't be considered one of these planets anyway, right? I'm not saying by you or me, but by the rationalist astronomy cats. All right, let's just read this beautiful writing surrounding the sun, surrounding this whole scene, which says, ages and cycles of nature in ceaseless sequence moving. Beautiful. Somebody needs to do a little numerological, like gematria decoding of that, because it is a strange sentence, isn't it? I wonder if it's from some famous writing, maybe. But what a beautiful statement of incarnation to a place with cycles that allow for growth in this place with the appearance of time and space. And to mention, very important, the truth of moving through ages, right, which are keys also revealed in the DC star mysteries. Now, this place in some regards is much more modern than other images that you find around DC, like including Uranus and Neptune, for example. Here we have these 8 sciences. That looks like alchemy to me, but that one's actually anthropology. Here is geology. Here is chemistry. I like that chemistry is holding the scales. It's at the Venus-Earth midpoint. Here is astronomy, and you see the armillary sphere. Physics, mathematics here. It's got geometry and just deep contemplation, yes. And then we'll come to botany. Again, I'll share in courses ahead, like high-def images of these many powerful star mystery illustrations. Finally, zoology, and I love that he's staring at a lion, right? I mean, the skulls might even feel, I don't know, kind of Scorpio. What do you think? All right, so let's fast forward here. I just want to honor in these arches an ode to ancient civilization on this side. So this is the lighthouse of Alexandria. Yeah, it used to be one of the 7 wonders of the world. Here is an image of Babylon, yeah. And then Kemet here, the land we now call Egypt. Yes. You can see some of the Nile there. This is looking south again, the mural of like stealing the fire. So think about how the midnight sun, right, is like this beginning of the sun's climb each day. Now, I love that on the eastern side of this door, let me move ahead, we see Apollo, right, with the torch. Check out the Sphinx behind, like literally staring east, as the great Sphinx at the great pyramids of Giza is literally looking due east, okay? On the west side, so think night, yes, we have this image of moon. I would say this is much less Diana than it is Hecate. I mean, interesting, at least from the northern hemisphere point of view, they're showing us a waxing moon, but if you know the lunar cycle in the sky with your eyes, it is the west where the young moon is reborn after the moon survives her monthly trial by fire, which, by the way, is why many cultures and many traditions begin their days at sunset. Now, here we have, if you don't mind me saying, the female side of the door on the west, the moon side, and the male side featuring Apollo on his chariot with his steeds, and that solar doorknob. I need one of those, right? On the masculine side of the door. Okay, here, this is the eastern side, and we see some images of the sciences. I'm not exactly sure what that is. Does anybody know? Write that up in the comments, if you will. This seems just kind of like seal of some royal thing. I'm feeling abacus here, maybe. See all those swastikas? This is not an ode to modern expressions in a terrible way of that symbol. That was an ancient depiction of the spinning sky. Photography here, now we're looking north. Athena, who is the most honored goddess in all of DC and many of these sacred spaces. And then we see the scales, right? Probably depicting alchemy, really, chemistry. I just want to read in the comments that Griffith Observatory in LA, yeah, Foucault pendulum and many sacred symbols there. All right, so here we have mathematics. And again, this is now looking west. So interesting to see 3 lions there because the lions are so solar and west is where the night begins, right? But some kind of royal thing that I'm too plebeian to understand. And here we have physics or mechanics. Okay, so I think from here, we're going to walk out the door. Oh, wait, let's first honor the 4 elements. There's a really beautiful depiction of water. And again, I'll be sharing high-def images of these in Sky School down the road because there's a lot to learn about the teachings here. I'm just noticing some of these swastikas in the borders of at least that element. But yeah, it looks like all the elements. Here's Earth. And we'll speak about the directional alignment here. I'm interested in seeing that compass rose in the upper right for the Earth as well. The plumb bob and the Mason square, by the way, in the upper left. Here's air, so sailing, right? Billows to stoke the fires, the windmill. And yeah, I can definitely understand why even this word, swastika, right, and that image can be incredibly painful. Please know that this is an ancient symbol for many, many lands. It's a symbol of getting centered, aligning with the directions of the spinning sky, and it was obviously very distorted and misappropriated by very demonic forces not too long ago. Yes? Sean, I'm reading that you're saying this is amazing. I totally agree. Built it myself. Nope, but I did take some video of it. Okay, so again, here we're at these zodiac gates. Now, this gate, which is, again, the Northern Hemisphere fall signs, right? Libra, Scorpio, and Sagittarius. It is in the south. No, it's in the northwest. And Scorpio is southwest, whereas Aquarius is southeast, and that gate is in the northeast. So this, as I said before, is one place in DC, and actually, frankly, the only place I found in DC where the directional reality of the tropical zodiac is not necessarily honored. But what happens as a result? Beautifully. Now, there could be a magical reversal here, and I don't want to trip too much on that right now because I will reveal my very card-carrying Scorpio conspiracy nature, but that the signs of Northern Hemisphere spring and summer, which we just saw spring and here's summer, right? They are in the light. They're outside where the sun strikes, whereas the signs of Northern Hemisphere fall and winter are inside the room and they don't see the light of the sun. And so you can kind of feel that ode to light and darkness in the seasonal expression of the Northern Hemisphere experience of the sun moving through those tropical signs indicated there on these gates. Now, there's so much to share about the outside of this sacred building as well. We'll just spend a little time looking here. All right, so this man kind of being born in the horns of the ram, which is facing south, maybe out of, I don't know, a golden apple, maybe out of the earth held by a guiding hand, the sun above. I mean, interestingly, you get this kind of like Archer and the Deer, which might be a story of, wasn't Arctis? Oh, who was it that Diana or Artemis turned into a stag because he saw her bathing naked? Anyone, please, in the comments, if you're familiar with that myth. We might be talking about that. I'm wondering if maybe the deer is another image for the goat, and that would be kind of Sagittarius goat cusp, which is south, which is the direction that sun is facing. You see the serpent here, interestingly. The guardian owls looking east and west, a symbol for Athena, which we see all over the place. And look at the water element and the fossil there, whereas on the left with the dragon, it was the air element. Many, many places where the four elements are encoded in DC. And here we go to the goddess for the light. Maybe images of the great goddess. Acteon, the hunter. Thank you, Karen. I'm so happy to be surrounded by amazing folks who understand the mysteries. Okay, let's stop that share. So there, just a little bit of the National Academy of Sciences in Washington, D.C. There will be future presentations, article courses, where I take much more time with these things. We have not much more time here. The live stream at Instagram will end an hour in. Hopefully, if you're seeing this there, and I should just consistently remind folks, like head over to the YouTube page where you can see this stuff full screen. All right. So if you look to my bio on Instagram, it will link you to geminibrett.com/links. And one of those links is the YouTube page. At YouTube, I will likely go longer than an hour, which is the limit at Instagram. All right. So I'll end the Instagram stream and head over to YouTube if you'd like to see more of this, either live or at a time I currently perceive to be the future, because I want to show you a few more things. I'll show you a little bit more in DC, and then I want to take you a little more local to a window here and into my backyard for some video I recorded last night. Maybe that happens in a different video. All right, so let me take you to the Library of Congress. I'm going to do 2 videos here. The first one, actually, I just want to share an image. This is looking from upstairs, as you can see, over this zodiac floor of the Library of Congress, the Jefferson Building in Washington, D.C., which is just one of the most amazing, I don't know, places for esoteric imagery. It is just off the chains. And it was this floor between the busts of Thomas Jefferson and George Washington that taught me so much about this directional reality of the tropical zodiac. When I first saw this, I was like, this feels backwards. And you know what? Frankly, the school where I began my study and looking at some transmissions of like, oh, well, you know what? I don't want to name names. They have the zodiac aligned backwards. It's a very common and strange practice. So it took me a second to kind of crack the code in DC. Took me minutes, took me hours, took me days, actually. And it was really important because, you know, as we self-initiate, again, like, not again, I can show you these things in imagery. I can take you to these places. I was happy to be accompanied by some amazing seekers in DC this last week. But the gateway will open to you and speak to you and then through you in your language. Yes? I can bring you to the well, but you will drink in the way that you do. And the water will teach to and through you in your way. Yes? Like, that's my job, is to show you, and I'd rather not show you at all, and I never do, to show you the doorway, right? But what you find in that temple is yours, and it can't be mine. And I can only listen to your teachings to learn more about this world. Yes? All right. So what I experienced by trying to crack this code of the zodiac square at the Library of Congress was an incredible realignment to the very real astronomy of the tropical zodiac, which is a challenging thing for those of us who know that the tropical signs are not aligned with the constellations like they once were. It will be different in 72 years and on we go. But that the tropical zodiac is very real. And by the way, for me, it has nothing to do with stars out there. It's all about the alignment of Earth and the star of ours that we call sun. And it's really about something that's deep beneath our feet, the crystal core of our planet. But I think that's definitely a tale for another time. All right, so let me show you. We're going to go to a video here in the Library of Congress, actually just to show you first. Now let's go to the zodiac floor first. So let me find that video for you. Where are you? Here. And I think this is like 3 or 4 minutes long, and I'm just going to mute myself, put my camera away, and I'm going to let it play. Well, maybe I need to mute myself first. Sorry, just you know, I'm realizing, hold on, let me stop that for a sec. I'm just realizing that maybe the sound wasn't on, so we're going to start that again. I think I have to push another button. Yeah. Oh, wait, it was on. Sorry. All right. Retrograde. Going back to that scene. I'll be back on the other side. Fun place to pause right when I say the most amazing thing about this. All right. Hey, make sure that you're on my list. GeminiBrett.com, right on the homepage, or GeminiBrett.com/links. If you're on Instagram, just go to my bio. There's a link there, because I'll be sending out information very soon about coming sound sky school and an eclipse workshop deep dive online. I'm seeing that the sound was off on that video. Sorry, but I think you got it. You saw the zodiac there. And I'll just narrate the rest, but I got to end the stream at Instagram now. So again, if you want to see a little bit more of this, come on over to my YouTube page. Link is in the bio. All right. I think we're alone now. Right, winter. Beautifully counted, 19 circles. All right, so this, I mean, it's just so incredibly powerful. And I was happy to be able to take some like really good high def photographs of this star that's also been a very powerful teacher for me in Washington, D.C. There's many astronomy teachers for me there. If you've been here since the beginning of the stream, we started at the Andrew W. Mellon Zodiac Fountain, which, like this zodiac on the floor of the Library of Congress, or like the zodiac on the floor of the National Academy of Sciences building, or like the zodiac in the chandelier of the fucking Federal Reserve building, or I could go on and on, are directionally aligned with the Pisces Aries cusp due east, which means they're not talking about constellations. They're talking about the tropical zodiac, Earth zodiac, as defined by Gaia's spine, the sword of our stone, the world tree. Right, so which defines the directions. Now, another time I'll take you to the Compass Rose in the Capitol building above the crypt and beneath the mural of George Washington becoming a god. But for now, we'll be here in this sun at the center of the zodiac floor on the square at the Library of Congress building across the street. You can see the fourfold and eightfold geometry, right? So east is in this current image up, right? I'm standing on the western side of the compass. That means my back is like towards the Capitol building, the Washington Monument, the Abe Lincoln Memorial further down, and the cross that is the DC Mall, as Pierre L'Enfant called it in his initial design of the city's layout. And so east and west, right? And of course, perpendicular north and south. And then as you can see, it's a 8-pointed star, right? So the compass rose with the cross quarter directions. And the northeast point is looking at Taurus in the corner of the zodiac floor, the northwest point towards Leo in another corner, the southwest point Scorpio, the southeast point Aquarius. That is how the directional zodiac, the tropical zodiac, works. But a very important thing, as Winter pointed out here in the comments, is like, though we have this eightfold symmetry, and it's like 4, 8, 16, 32, 48, 32, 32, those with ears to hear, okay? Anyway, in the center, you see 8, but in this ring, this kind of serpentine ring, there are 19 circles, yeah? I wonder if I circle that here with my mouse, if you see the mouse or not. Let's see. Yes, you do. So there are 19 here. Maybe I should circle them this way since this is sunwise. Oh, maybe I should circle them this way because this is moonwise. Because the truth of the 19, and I love that this is encoded there at the solar center of the zodiac floor on the square at the Library of Congress, is that 19 solar years unlocks or synchronizes the polyrhythms of moon and sun, or more specifically of earth, moon, sun, lunation, the phases, the synodic month, and earth, sun, the solar years, the tropical year. All right. 19 tropical years, or 19 solar years, or 19 directional years, like sun at the north point and back to sun at the north point, or sun at the east point, which is maybe the better place to start the year from a global perspective, because east is the place of the rise of new beginnings. And that's today. Happy East-quinox to you. Easter. Oh, an equinox holiday about the resurrection of the sun. Oh, anyway, the sun on the cross of the equator and the ecliptic. Sorry. Anyway, let me snap out of that. Right. So here we are at this very beautiful and important time of the year. We often use like this Aries ingress chart to speak to a chart for the entire year to come. Yes. Some would suggest that depending on what the rising sign is in the capital of your country, this chart will either apply for the entire year or for 3 months or for 6 months. And so I think in a School of Astrology community discussion, we should spend some time with that equinox chart and see what it looks like for the year ahead. All right. Anyway, what about the 19? Well, it is 19 solar years that are almost exactly equal to 235 lunations. This is encoded in this ring of 19. That's moonwise. That's sunwise. It's encoded in some other beautiful esoteric symbolism in Washington, D.C. The synchronization of silver, moon, and gold, sun. Right? And so anyone who's running a solely lunar calendar that actually uses the phases of the moon to define their calendar months knows about the key of 19 years and knows that you will have 7 leap months during the course of 19 years. And so you have 12 years with 12 months and 7 years with 13. All right. So that's like a deep dive teaching for another time, but it's encoded here in the Library of Congress in the Zodiac floor. And let me show you one other image in DC, which is the center of the DC mysteries, which I will reveal another time. I have in the past, but it's ready for a really significant update. Let me find another video here for you. Great. So this is the Capitol Dome, DC Rotunda. An image or a painting by Constantine Brumidi, who, by the way, was like literally broken out of Vatican jail, where he was with his family for practicing Freemasonry at the time. I understand his family was not broken out of jail, but he was, and he was brought here to the States to do some painting, including painting here in the Capitol building. He's known as the artist of the Capitol. He painted a church in New York. He spent some time in Mexico. We're going to see some evidence of that soon. He painted this image called the Apotheosis of George Washington, which has been the source of one of my greatest revelations and understandings of the great turning of the ages that you and I have incarnated into, how it's encoded in the Bible, how George Washington is here as an image of the Christ reborn and all sorts of crazy shit. All right. But for now, I just want to show you this very interesting image in the frieze beneath this painting at the Capitol Dome. I'll say, just plant the seed. There are 72 stars surrounding this image of George Washington's apotheosis, which means George Washington becoming a god. All right. But let's go to the frieze beneath the Capitol Rotunda, complete with. All right. There you go. What do you see? And some might say, oh, the Mayan calendar, because you were disinformed by TV in 2012, and that's okay. This is a Mexica sunstone, and specifically the sunstone that was found beneath the streets of modern-day Mexico City in the ruins of Tenochtitlan, which is the ancient name for that place. Yes? And it is an image of the ages, the suns Yeah. And so there's this image, like many of these images in the frieze, they're pretty difficult to digest because they're images of so-called contact, right? So this is meant to be Cortez, you know, a hero to fucking none, sorry, meeting Montezuma II, which I understand did not happen. But Montezuma on a throne here in front of the Mexica Sunstone, which is an image of the turning of the ages, helping us understand that apotheosis image above, surrounded by 72 stars, which I learned from Hermes in a dream the night after I first saw it, is a map of the sky. Very important place in the heavens that the Dakota star mystery traditions call the sacred hoop. They tell us it's where our souls come from, but it's also a precessional clock speaking about the turning of the ages, which is now. So keep the faith. Now I've been here for an hour and 8 minutes, which is great because 108, which 68 is not, but regardless, 108 is one of the keys that unlocks the sun, moon, earth, spirit, soul, matter, circle, crescent, cross mysteries. And I'll be speaking much about that in coming eclipse workshops. So I hope you're on my list. I hope you'll join me. I will be soon starting a membership that you can come into monthly. There will be a few different rates depending on where you are and your economic reality right now. There will be some work trade opportunities for those who want to participate but don't have the dime at this time. And there will also be annual rates. Coming into the Sky School membership will offer discounts on any courses I teach. There will be community discussions and encouraged research groups, circles to join, so you're not alone in your study of the sacred sciences. And basically, if you sign up for the year, you're going to get the eclipse workshop for free, which is a 2-day thing on April 6th and 7th, 9 a.m. to noon Pacific. So please put that on your calendar now. Please be on my list. You can sign up at GeminiBrett.com so I can notify you about this. Of course, I'll be speaking about it moving forward in the next couple of weeks. I'm just working and really so gratefully working with and following the lead, in this case, of Carolyn Link to get this going and do all the ones and O's at a place where we can meet online to have safe space for community discussions. I'll be there at least once a month, but we'll have weekly discussions led by different den mothers and den dads. And we'll have, again, like for people who really want to engage and connect with one another and study together in these sacred sciences and take on research projects for the team. We'll be doing all of that. I was going to show you one image that I'll be sharing. I was going to say weekly, but now I think it's going to be with the sun moving through the faces today, which is some illustrations of how can we know where the sun is in the zodiac. But I tell you what, I'm going to save that for a later date because we've taken too much time here already. I really would like to set the goal of keeping these Wednesday transmissions less than an hour, and I'm flailing. Last week it worked when I pre-recorded the thing, though I had to record it 3 times actually to meet that goal because, you know, brevity is not my specialty, dude. Anyway, I prefer to take deep dives, and if you do too, then Sky School at the School of Astrology will be for you. So let me just say one more thing here, because these are really wonderful eclipse numbers. Now, supposedly Constantine Brumidi, the artist of the Capitol, had intended for there to be 18 images here in the frieze. And by the way, it makes a ton of sense because the Capitol has 72 stars around the apotheosis of George Washington. By the way, the seed key is that it's 72 years for 1 degree of precession, showing us the time nature of that space-time. Stargate, I'll say. In the windows above, we have 36. But actually, when you look outside the Capitol building, and I'm excited to share a time lapse of the equinox sunrise from the Capitol, so you can see some of its directional alignment in day and year, calendar expression, and opportunities in its study and teachings. There are 3 sets of windows, 36, 36, and 36. 36, 72, 108. All right, the number of beads in the mala, the number of double stitches on the American baseball, and the number of square feet necessary to determine your chicken as free range. And I could go on and on there too. Anyway, it's a very important key that unlocks the sun, moon, earth mysteries. So 108, 36, 72, 18, right? That's all in that same kind of 9-ness code. So you can see why 18 in the freeze. 18, however, it's also very important in the eclipse mysteries, the Saros series of eclipse family periodicity. The rate of the dragon's heartbeat is 18 years. All right, it's 18 years, 11 days, and 8 hours, but who's counting? We are. All right. And however, it is said, interestingly, maybe this is true, maybe it's not, that Brahmini did the math wrong and calculated the kind of height width ratio for these 18 images in the frieze. And so there's now 19. Brahmini painted 15 of them. He almost died painting them. He fell and he was hanging 108 feet above the floor on a ladder for 15 minutes until he was saved. But then he died a couple months later. He was old at the time. And I'm forgetting the man's name who finished the 3 from his drawings, but then also realized in the process, I'm sure Brahmini had, that 18 was not going to cut it. And you know what? He didn't finish all of them. Maybe there were 16 that were finished from Brahmini's drawings. I got to look into this again, but it was Alan Cox who did the last 3. I think 2 of them were designed by Brahmini. That's what I'm not sure about, but certainly the last one was not, because there's an image of the Wright brothers discovering flight, which of course did not happen back in the day when the Capitol was constructed, erected, painted. Yeah, that was well before the Wright brothers. So it's like an interesting thing that kind of creeps into this like ancient illustration of like Greco-Roman, well, space-time machine cosmology. And then all of these images of like kind of, you know, the discovery of the new world / fucking genocide. But let's not go there right now. We want to keep it light. It is the beginning of spring. Oh, wait, it's the beginning of fall. Depends where you are. All right. Anyway, I think that's enough for now. I'm excited to share, and I'll just have to contemplate when I can fit this in. To do like a free class for folks who are on the list about some of the equinox. And I'll show you part of what I will be contributing for those of you who choose to join the School of Earth Astrology Storytelling Sky School membership this year, where basically I will be taking you through learning the zodiac constellations throughout the course of the year. And we'll get an update as the sun moves through the phases, beginning with some video and some time lapse that I recorded last night from home and a couple days ago from DC. All right, so I hope to see you there in the future. If you've been here for this whole stream, and thanks, I see many of you here still, please make sure you like the video. If you're watching this at a time that I currently perceive to be the future, please like the video, subscribe, share this around. You know, it's hard to deal with the algorithm, but we can fight it. We can fight it, friends. We can stay human. Yeah, so if you like the content, please support the channel. That would be greatly received. It really fuels the rocket ship. Final note, friends, is that I will be offering an 18% discount on everything that I do until the total solar eclipse on April 8th. If you head over to GeminiBrett.com and click on the sessions tab, or it's GeminiBrett.com/sessions, you will even see right there the coupon code shadow play. And if you type that in when you check out, as long as you purchase your session before April 8th, you'll get an 18% discount, whether you're doing a short 33 Sun, Moon, Earth session with me, where you can ask any question you want, or a full new client session or a follow-up session if you've been with me, 18% discount. Even for membership, by the way, if you mentorship, if you choose to come and do some mentorship with me, which is already crazy cheap, it's 4 sessions for the price of 3. It's $444 for 4 sessions. That coupon code won't work there. Just book them, write to me, and then I'll send you a partial refund of 18%. And that means you can do 4 lessons with me for $365, which find another astrologer who's offering that. All right. Anyway, I'm glad you found me. I'm glad to find you. I'm hoping to connect in community discussions and some study groups to really know that we're not alone in this weird way that we've been called to, and that we can support one another. Again, like I will offer a few different rates, both monthly and annually, that hopefully will support you depending on where you are in your opportunity to earn and spend at this time in your life, and also offer some work trade opportunities for a few folks who want to get involved and really help drive and birth this this community into being. I'll share this, I guess, finally, and I'll be showing this in the eclipse workshops coming. The eclipse is on my Jupiter, who is the governor of my natal 7th house. So partnership, expect to experience that in some interesting ways, including my beautiful beloved Scorpiona is now in the 3rd trimester of a pregnancy. We have a daughter coming in. In June, the eclipse, the nodes axis are moving through my 5th and 11th, the 5th of children, right? Well, what is the 11th? Community. And that's in my chart where the Lord of my 10th sign of career, amongst many other things, resides. And so part of what I'm called to do is create community. And it's a difficult thing. And one of the reasons why is Aries is the 11th in the Gemini design, which is the one that I was born to. And you can't, like you literally can't create community yourself. All right. So there's a question came in, why 19 circles? Because 19 years equals 235 lunations. It's the key that synchronizes this golden year, which is Earth orbiting the sun, the solar year, the tropical year, and the lunar year, which is the moons, the phases of the moon. So just look into, Jennifer, I'll type it here in the comments, Metonic cycle, named for some white Greek dude, even though it's at the foundation of solely lunar traditions like the Chinese calendar and the Hebrew, which comes from the Akkadian, which comes from the Babylonian calendar, which go way back and certainly predate the Greek astronomer Meton, who's kind of acknowledged for being the one who's discovered this key. There's another thing, and I'll write it here, Calippic cycle. Oh, I gotta just make sure I spelled that right before I hit enter. Callippic, the Calippic cycle, which is 72 years. And these are things I'll be teaching in courses ahead of realigning to natural time, one of the ways that we can stay human and resist the AI. All right, tool, not teacher, those. All right, friends, thanks so much for spending some time with me. I will be here live every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. Please share that around with those who speak the language of the birds like you and me. You're really trying to grow this thing, trying to figure out how to be a more responsible business person, I guess, with a baby coming in, right? How the heck am I going to do that? Well, I'm sure she'll show me. And maybe these are one of the things that she kicked into my head as my ear was on my beloved's belly the other week. All right. Big love to you. Happy East-quinox. May this be a new beginning that blesses you in every way that you ask for and deserve. Let's do it. See you in space, friends.